For 5,000 years, the pyramids have guarded a secret older than Egypt, older than history itself. What if these monuments were never tombs, but machines, designed to harness the power of the earth? Tonight, we follow the forgotten path of the Pyramid Code. And ask. The Destifrikander's question. Did ancient Egypt possess lost technology? Where the past is not finished, and the truth waits to be unveiled. For thousands of years, the Giza Pyramids have defied time, reason, and science. Rising from the desert like a riddle carved in stone, they stand as the most enduring mystery of the ancient world. How could a civilization more than 4,000 years ago, with no modern machines, no iron tools, and no advanced mathematics, create such precision? How could they have built something we still struggle to understand today? The official story tells us that the Great Pyramid was built around 2500 BC for Pharaoh Khufu. A tomb, they say, raised by tens of thousands of workers over 2 decades. But when we look closer, when we measure, calculate, and truly observe, the narrative begins to fracture. Because nothing about this monument behaves like a tomb. Every angle, every line, every proportion seems designed for something far greater. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north with an accuracy within 1/15 of a degree, a precision that modern compasses and instruments only achieved in recent centuries. Each base side measures 365.24 cubits, mirroring the exact number of days in a solar year. Its height-to-perimeter ratio encodes 2p, representing the geometry of a sphere, as if the builders understood the curvature of the Earth itself. These are not coincidences. They are calculations. They are code. The Pyramid Code. How could a Bronze Age culture have possessed such advanced understanding of astronomy, geometry, and physics? Were they guided by something more? Something lost to time? The deeper we look, the stranger it becomes. The pyramid contains over 2.3 million stone blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons, each fitted with laser-like precision. You cannot slide a sheet of paper between them. Even with cranes, lasers, and cutting tools, we would struggle to replicate it today. Yet the ancient Egyptians supposedly did it using copper chisels and ropes. Copper against granite. Ropes against blocks that even trucks would strain to move. Something doesn't fit. When engineers examined drill cores found at Giza, they discovered spiral marks too fine for primitive tools, patterns that can only be produced by ultrasonic machining. Modern technology can replicate them, but only just. These ancient cores suggest not brute force, but resonance, sound used as a tool, a vibration so powerful it could cut stone. Could it be that the builders of the pyramids harnessed the power of frequency, an ancient technology that used sound and energy to move matter? Ancient Egyptians often depicted creation beginning not with light, but with sound, the divine word that brought form from chaos. They believed that everything vibrated with life, that reality itself was built on frequency. If they truly understood this, perhaps they didn't need machines. Perhaps they built the pyramids the same way the universe builds galaxies, through resonance. Inside the Great Pyramid, sound behaves differently. Whisper near the king's chamber, and the walls hum back, amplifying your voice into a haunting echo. Modern researchers have measured standing waves forming within the chamber, frequencies that align perfectly with the Earth's Schumann resonance, the natural electromagnetic pulse of our planet. The pyramid is literally tuned to the Earth. Was it accidental or deliberate? Imagine a structure not of religion, but of energy, a machine that gathers and harmonizes natural power, a geometric resonator built to stabilize the planet's frequency or amplify consciousness itself. This is what some call the Giza power plant theory, the idea that the Great Pyramid once functioned as a living generator, converting natural vibrations into usable energy. Skeptics laugh. But modern experiments prove that pyramid shapes focus electromagnetic energy at their base and apex. Physics confirms what ancient myth has whispered for millennia. The design itself is a form of technology. The question is, who taught them? Because when we ask the Egyptians, they say the same thing. We did not build them. They speak of a time before time, The Zeptepi, the first age, when gods walked among men, and the followers of Horus inherited divine wisdom. They called their teacher Thoth, the keeper of knowledge, who encoded his science in sacred texts and hid them for the future, a science known as the Pyramid Code. If these were merely myths, how do they explain the facts? The astronomical alignments? The impossible measurements? The same mathematical constants that govern planets and stars? The geometry of the cosmos, written into stone by hands we cannot explain? Somewhere along the line, we lost something. Perhaps the pyramids were not our beginning, but our reminder. Beneath their base, radar imaging has revealed cavities, tunnels, and voids stretching beneath the desert plateau. Some connect toward the Sphinx, others descend into darkness. Egypt's own authorities have acknowledged the anomalies but refuse further excavation. They say it's to protect the monuments. Others whisper it's to protect the secret. Because if these chambers contain evidence of a lost civilization, it would rewrite everything we know about human history. The Sphinx itself shows signs of water erosion thousands of years older than dynastic Egypt. That means it was already ancient when Pharaoh Khufu was born. Which means the builders of Giza inherited their world, not created it. So who were they? And where did they go? Some researchers believe the answers lie in frequency, that the pyramids once vibrated with a power source now dormant. Inside the narrow shafts, scientists have recorded residual magnetic fields that fluctuate with the sunrise and sunset, as though the structure still breathes with the planet. If the Great Pyramid once channeled this energy, it may have served not just as a generator, but as a bridge between matter and spirit. Ancient texts describe initiation chambers where the soul was awakened by sound. The initiate would lie in a sarcophagus-like box, immersed in darkness and vibration until their consciousness transcended the body. Perhaps the pyramid was a device of transformation, one that could raise awareness to divine levels. If so, then the true secret of the Pyramid Code is not electricity or machines. It's consciousness. The understanding that mind, matter, and energy are one. The ancients may have built these monuments not for power, but for memory, to remind future generations who we truly are. Every inch of Giza whispers the same message. The alignment of the three pyramids mirrors Orion's belt. The Sphinx gazes directly east toward the rising sun in the age of Leo. These patterns match the sky not in 2500 BC, but in 10,500 BC, precisely when the last ice age ended and global floods reshaped the Earth. Coincidence or code? If these alignments were deliberate, they point to a civilization that measured time not in centuries, but in cosmic cycles. Perhaps the pyramids are not just monuments to the past, but markers of time aligned with the precession of the equinoxes, a cosmic clock ticking across millennia, waiting for us to notice. And now we have. Every new discovery, every scan, every anomaly draws us closer to a truth buried beneath the sand. The Pyramid Code may not be a myth or metaphor, but an ancient science bridging sound, light, and consciousness. A language we once spoke fluently and forgot. Maybe that's why the Great Pyramid still calls to us. It's not just stone, it's a message, a memory, a key. And when we finally learn how to read it, we may realize that the Egyptians didn't look backward to build their world. They looked upward, toward the stars, toward the vibration that connects all life, toward the same mystery we are rediscovering today. This isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of rediscovery. The ancient technology may not be lost. It may simply be waiting for us to remember how to listen. Because the Pyramid Code was never just about stone. It was about frequency, energy, consciousness. And if that's true, then the pyramids are not relics of the past. They are blueprints for the future. Long before history began, the ancients worked with stone in ways we can barely comprehend. Across Egypt, Peru, Turkey, and India, monuments carved from granite, diorite, and basalt stand as silent proof of an engineering power beyond explanation. They are too smooth, too exact, too perfect to have been made by hand tools. Yet our textbooks still insist they were. Walk through the quarries of Aswan, and you'll find the unfinished obelisk, a single block of granite weighing over 1,000 tons. It was never moved, never lifted, never finished. But the way it was carved reveals the impossible. Curves cut through stone as if shaped by a drill the size of a man's arm, as if the granite itself had been softened like clay. How could this be done? Copper chisels cannot cut granite. They crumble before they scratch its surface. So the mystery remains. If not copper, what? The ancients left no machines behind, no written manuals, no diagrams. But what they did leave are patterns. Perfect geometric patterns repeating across time and continents. Look at the precision-cut blocks of Abu Rawash, Saqqara, and Abydos. Each stone fits its neighbor so tightly that no mortar was ever used. You can't slip a piece of paper between them. Even earthquakes have failed to move them. At Sacsayhuaman in Peru, thousands of miles from Egypt, the same technique appears. Cyclopean blocks interlocking like puzzle pieces, fused as though melted together. Civilizations separated by oceans, building in the same way, to the same impossible standard. Coincidence, or shared knowledge. Some say these builders knew the secret of vibration, the power to make stone weightless, to separate its molecular bonds through sound. Legends from every continent tell the same story. The Tibetans spoke of monks lifting boulders with horns and chants. The Egyptians described priests who sang to the stones. In Central America, the Mayans said their ancestors used tones that made the mountains move. Could they all be remembering the same lost science, the science of resonance? When modern researchers played certain frequencies inside the Great Pyramid, they discovered something extraordinary. The chambers began to vibrate at harmonic intervals, producing deep tones that could be felt rather than heard. The walls responded like the body of an instrument, amplifying the sound instead of absorbing it. As the frequency increased, so did the energy in the air. It's as if the entire pyramid was designed to interact with vibration, to capture, amplify, and perhaps even store it. This aligns with what we know from physics. Every object has a natural frequency, a point where vibration makes it resonate. A singer can shatter glass with sound. An earthquake can bring down bridges through resonance. If the builders of Giza understood this principle, they could have lifted stones by altering their frequency, reducing their weight until they floated. Ancient accounts describe just that. The Arab historian al-Makrizi wrote that priests placed papyrus beneath each block, struck it with a metal rod, and the stone moved through the air as if alive. Travelers who visited the plateau in earlier centuries told similar tales. Most historians dismiss them as myth, but myth often begins with memory. Even today, physicists study acoustic levitation, using sound waves to suspend objects in midair. At small scales, it works. What we call impossible may simply be forgotten. Perhaps that is the heart of the Pyramid Code, the ability to harness frequency, to turn vibration into motion and energy. The ancients may not have used machines as we imagine, but instruments, tools that resonated with nature itself. Inside the Temple of Hathor at Dendra, carvings show figures holding long tubes connected to energy like coils, surrounded by hieroglyphs describing light and sound. Egyptologists call it symbolic. Engineers call it familiar. The shape resembles a cathode bulb, a device that channels electricity. Could this represent a form of plasma technology powered by resonance within the pyramids themselves? If so, what were they using it for? Power, healing, communication. Consider this. Deep inside the Great Pyramid lies a small shaft, perfectly aligned with the stars of Orion's belt. When light or sound travels through it, it produces measurable resonance. To the Egyptians, Orion was the realm of Osiris, the god of resurrection. Could the pyramid have been a machine that simulated rebirth, using vibration to shift consciousness into higher states? The priests called this the rite of ascension. Initiates would lie in the stone box within the king's chamber, where the frequencies of Earth and the stars converged. They would enter a trance, travel beyond the body, and return transformed. The pyramid, in this sense, was not a tomb of death. It was a chamber of awakening. Modern measurements support this strange idea. In 2018, researchers from the Institute of Physics in St. Petersburg discovered that electromagnetic energy concentrates inside the king's chamber, especially at wavelengths between 200 and 600 meters. The pyramid, by shape alone, channels natural energy. It's not a metaphor, it's physics. So what if ancient Egypt possessed not primitive tools, but a deep understanding of natural laws, a form of lost technology rooted in vibration, geometry, and consciousness? The evidence isn't limited to Giza. In Abydos, reliefs carved into temple walls depict objects that look uncannily like modern helicopters, submarines, and aircraft. Egyptologists insist it's coincidence, the result of overlapping inscriptions. But when viewed closely, the shapes are too distinct, too mechanical, too intentional. In the Osirion nearby, one of the oldest stone structures in Egypt, the floor sits far below the modern temple level, as if built in an earlier epoch. Its granite blocks are so immense and perfectly joined that no known technique of the dynastic period can explain them. Some geologists believe it predates recorded Egyptian history entirely. Why do the oldest monuments show the highest precision? Why does technology seem to decline over time instead of improve? It's as if Egypt began in brilliance and slowly forgot. The pyramid texts, the oldest writings in the world, speak of machines of light and ladders to the sky. They describe the pharaoh ascending on beams that lift him to the gods. Later dynasties reduced these ideas to ritual, but perhaps the earliest priests experienced them as reality, as literal technologies for transforming energy and awareness. This would explain another mystery: the worldwide obsession with the pyramid shape. From Mexico to China, from Sudan to Indonesia, every ancient culture built pyramids. They didn't share language, culture, or contact, yet they all followed the same blueprint, the same slope angles, the same stellar alignments, the same symbolism of ascension. Either they all arrived at the same design by coincidence, or they inherited it from the same source. Many researchers believe that source was a lost global civilization, destroyed at the end of the Ice Age. Its survivors carried fragments of their science to distant lands: Egypt, Sumer, the Andes, the Indus Valley, seeding the rebirth of civilization. Over time, that science became myth. The gods taught us, they said. Maybe those gods were not divine at all, but human, from a world we've forgotten. If that's true, the Pyramid Code might be the last echo of their knowledge, a universal language carved in stone. Every line, every angle, every vibration was part of that code. The pyramid's geometry captures not just the Earth's proportions, but the constants of light, sound, and time. The speed of light, when expressed in meters per second, almost perfectly matches the Great Pyramid's latitude, 29.97992 degrees north. Coincidence or message? It's as though the builders encoded physics into architecture, leaving us a bridge between worlds, waiting for us to rediscover it. But knowledge like this changes everything. If ancient Egypt truly possessed advanced technology, it challenges every foundation of history, archaeology, and human evolution. It means progress is not linear. It means we may not be the first advanced civilization, only the latest, and maybe not the most advanced. Every time we peer into the past, we find ourselves staring at reflections of our future. Energy without pollution, construction without destruction, science that serves life instead of controlling it. Perhaps that was their greatest technology. Not machines, but understanding. The Pyramid Code could be the record of that understanding, an encrypted manual written in vibration, geometry, and myth. One we are only now learning how to read. We once believed the pyramids were tombs. Then we realized they were calendars. Now we are beginning to see them as instruments, machines of consciousness built to connect heaven and earth. The ancients may have lost their civilization, but not their wisdom. They buried it in plain sight, inside the stones that still hum with energy beneath the desert sun. We are the first generation with the tools to decode it. The question is, will we? Because if we do, the world will never be the same again. For centuries, we have stared at the pyramids and seen stone, But what if we have been staring at energy, frozen in geometry? Deep within the structure of the Great Pyramid lies something that defies explanation. The three main chambers, the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and the subterranean chamber, are aligned along an invisible axis, designed with mathematical precision. When mapped in 3 dimensions, they form a pattern identical to the internal structure of a resonant cavity, the same principle used in modern wave generators. Coincidence, again, or purpose? The more scientists study the pyramid, the more it behaves like a machine. In 2018, a group of physicists from the ITMO University of St. Petersburg used advanced simulations to test how electromagnetic waves interact with the Great Pyramid. They discovered that its shape naturally focuses energy into specific chambers, amplifying it into standing waves. Vibration. To engineers, this is not art, it is technology. Imagine the pyramid as a massive resonator, tuning itself to the Earth's natural frequencies, capturing, storing, and redistributing them. The ancients called this power the breath of Ra, the life force that connects heaven and earth. To modern science, it is the Schumann resonance, the electromagnetic heartbeat of our planet. Every 8 seconds, Earth vibrates at around 7.83 hertz. That same frequency has been measured inside the Great Pyramid's core. It's as if the builders knew how to tune their monument to the planet's pulse, creating harmony between stone, sky, and spirit. The Pyramid Code, then, may have been a manual for resonance, a record of how to channel energy through geometry, sound, and consciousness. Let's imagine what this means. The pyramid stands at the exact center of all Earth's landmass. It aligns perfectly with true north. Its height multiplied by 43,200 equals the polar radius of the Earth. These are not random coincidences. They suggest the builders possessed a planetary scale understanding of measurement, an awareness of the globe's curvature and dimensions long before the invention of the telescope or satellite. Who were they measuring for? Us, the gods, the universe itself. The walls of the King's Chamber are made of pink granite, rich in quartz crystals, a mineral known to generate electrical current under pressure. When sound waves travel through it, it produces what scientists call the piezoelectric effect. That means the Great Pyramid may have acted as a massive energy transducer, converting sound into electricity or vibration into power. At the base, the so-called subterranean chamber cuts deep into the bedrock, possibly serving as a grounding node. Water from the Nile once flowed beneath the plateau, feeding through tunnels under the pyramid. The movement of water through limestone creates static electricity, a natural battery. Combine that with quartz resonance, copper fittings, and the pyramid's perfect geometry, and you have what looks remarkably like a power plant, an ancient one. Engineer Christopher Dunn proposed exactly that the Great Pyramid was an energy device designed to transform Earth's natural vibrations into usable power. His theory was mocked for decades, yet each new discovery brings it closer to plausibility. Why else would the builders incorporate quartz, copper, and acoustic geometry into a single structure? Every element of the design serves a function. The narrow shafts, once thought to be air vents, align precisely with Orion's belt and the star Sirius, but they also allow specific frequencies of air and sound to travel through the pyramid like organ pipes, sustaining resonance. The Grand Gallery, with its staircase-like walls, acts as an amplifier, channeling that vibration toward the King's Chamber. When sound moves through those corridors, the air hums. When light enters from above, it refracts through the stone, scattering like waves in water. Everything inside is movement, vibration, resonance. The entire pyramid is alive. The ancients may have understood energy in a way we no longer do, not as electricity in wires, but as life force, the same energy that moves through atoms, through weather, through thought. They may have known that consciousness itself is a frequency and that the pyramid could harmonize it. To them, science and spirituality were not opposites. They were one. And so, the Pyramid Code becomes more than engineering. It becomes philosophy, the belief that by aligning with the frequencies of the universe, one could transcend physical limits. The pyramid was both a power plant and a temple, a bridge between worlds. Some call this mysticism. But even our own scientists speak of the same truth, that reality is vibration. Matter is energy slowed down. The body is a receiver. The mind is a transmitter. The universe hums with invisible music, and the ancients may have built instruments to play it. Perhaps that's why pyramids exist all over the world. They are not monuments to gods. They are harmonizers of Earth's field. When aligned to magnetic lines and star maps, they stabilize and amplify the planet's frequency. A global grid of resonance, stretching from Giza to Teotihuacan, from Angkor to the Andes. Across these sites, the numbers repeat. Angles, ratios, alignments. It's as if someone once taught humanity a universal code of energy. The pyramid code might be that legacy, the mathematical DNA of civilization. But over time, the meaning was lost. Priests became kings, knowledge turned to power, and power turned to myth. The ritual replaced the reality. By the time of the later dynasties, the pyramids were already ancient, their secrets buried in sand and ceremony. The knowledge had faded, but the energy remained. Today, when we step inside, we feel it, a hum in the bones, a silence so deep it roars. Sensitive instruments still pick up electromagnetic fluctuations within the chambers. Some visitors report feeling lightheaded, euphoric, or overwhelmed with emotion. Others hear whispers, tones that seem to emerge from nowhere. Could the pyramids still be active even now? If energy never dies, only changes form, then perhaps what the ancients created still vibrates beneath the desert. The machine sleeps, but it still hums. And maybe that's why governments restrict access, why excavations are halted, why data vanishes. What if beneath Giza lies more than history? What if it's a functioning network, a remnant of a world that once understood free energy, consciousness, and balance? Imagine what that would mean for us, for science, for control. No wonder they called it sacred. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth describe an age when the power of vibration moved mountains and healed the flesh. Thoth writes of the Great Pyramid as a gateway of light, built to preserve the knowledge of a dying civilization. When the flood came, the same cataclysm that ended the Ice Age, Isaidien Adanskirkst, and Insti, NC, NDES, hid the records beneath the monument, sealing them with a frequency only the worthy could unlock. He called it the key of life, the pyramid code. To most, these are myths, but myths have always been data wrapped in poetry. The ancients may have encoded their science in story, their physics in religion, and their technology in art. What we read as myth may simply be misunderstood engineering. If we decode it, if we translate the symbolism back into science, we might uncover a technology far more advanced than our own, one that uses the planet's energy instead of depleting it, one that heals instead of harms. That is the power of the Pyramid Code, not as a secret of the past, but as a blueprint for the future. Because energy is not just what lights our cities, it's what connects our minds. The ancients knew that every thought, every emotion, every sound affects the field around us. When a civilization understands this, it becomes impossible to separate science from spirit. Their machines would have been living, their energy, conscious. And maybe, just maybe, that's why they built in stone. Stone remembers. It holds vibration, resonance, memory. The pyramids are not monuments to the dead. Living. They wait for us to awaken. The sands of Egypt still whisper the same song. A song of geometry, of light, sound, the rhythm of creation itself. And the deeper we listen, the more the code reveals itself. But there is one final question left unanswered. If the pyramids were machines of energy, if Egypt possessed a lost technology, then where did it come from? In the final chapter, we journey into forbidden history, hidden archives, and ancient warnings to uncover the truth about what was lost, and what might still lie beneath the desert. They say truth is buried in the sands. But what if the sands were placed there on purpose, not by time, but by design? For decades, every new discovery beneath the Giza Plateau has followed the same pattern. First excitement, then denial, then silence. Ground-penetrating radar detects voids beneath the Sphinx. The data is inconclusive. Seismic scans reveal hidden tunnels. Not important. Foreign teams request permission to drill. Denied for preservation. What are they preserving? The monument or the narrative? The deeper we dig, the closer we come to something Egyptology refuses to face. Because if the Pyramid Code is real, if the ancients did possess lost technology, then the history we've built our civilization upon is wrong. It would mean that Egypt was not humanity's beginning, but humanity's restart. That an older, global civilization, the one remembered as Atlantis, Zep-Tepi, or the first time, fell in a great cataclysm, leaving behind fragments of its science scattered across the earth. The Great Pyramid would not be their tombstone, it would be their message. Thousands of years before Khufu, the world changed overnight. Ice melted, oceans rose, and continents drowned. This is not myth, it is geology. Around 12,800 years ago, a sudden cosmic impact triggered global floods, fires, and the extinction of entire species. The event scientists now call the Younger Dryas matches perfectly with the timeline of Egypt's own flood of the gods. If survivors of that cataclysm carried their knowledge to the Nile, to the Andes, to the Indus, then the pyramids are proof that humanity once knew far more than we remember. They are the fingerprint of an older world, one that understood the unity of mind and matter. But power always breeds fear. The farther a civilization drifts from truth, the more it must hide it. In the early 1990s, documents surfaced describing a sealed chamber beneath the Sphinx, perfectly rectangular, smooth walls of black basalt, faint electromagnetic readings. The researchers who discovered it were silenced. The data vanished. Rumors claimed a small expedition entered the site and removed artifacts before sealing it again. No one ever confirmed it. But the story would not die. Those who claimed to have seen inside described something astonishing. Symbols not carved but burned into the stone, glowing faintly when light touches them. Patterns of spirals, triangles, and intersecting lines that pulse like circuitry. Not language as we know it, but geometry. Could this be the Hall of Records, the fabled archive said to contain the knowledge of the gods? If so, it would change everything. Religion, science, human identity itself. Because inside those walls might lie proof that consciousness and energy are the same force, that creation is vibration, that life, mind, and matter are one field. This idea isn't fantasy, it's physics. Quantum mechanics now confirms that observation affects reality, that awareness itself changes matter. The ancients may have known this long before we rediscovered it. Their temples were not churches. They were laboratories, designed to study the fabric of existence. So what if the Pyramid Code is the unified field theory of the ancient world? A science of consciousness that can heal, create, and connect. No wonder it was hidden. Imagine what would happen if humanity rediscovered that knowledge today. Energy would be free. Disease could be cured through frequency. War would lose its purpose. Power would no longer belong to the few. The systems that rule us, religion, politics, economy, would dissolve. And perhaps that is why the truth sleeps beneath the sand, not because it is lost, but because we are not ready. Every generation that approaches the code faces the same choice, to use it for greed or for awakening. The last time, we chose greed, and the world drowned. Maybe that's why the Sphinx still watches the horizon, as if waiting for the next dawn, the next chance for us to remember who we are before we destroy ourselves again. The ancients warned of cycles, not of years, but of consciousness. Civilizations rise and fall not by accident, but by resonance. When harmony is lost, destruction follows. But when the balance is restored, life begins anew. The Pyramid Code is not just a relic of the past, it is a map of that cycle, a cosmic reminder that evolution is not forward, but upward. Every time we fall, we rise again, higher than before. And maybe that's why the pyramids still stand. They survived flood, fire, and empire because they are not monuments to kings, but monuments to memory. Memory of who we were. Memory of who we can be again. As we enter a new age of technology, the parallels are impossible to ignore. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, energy weapons. We are recreating the power of the ancients without their wisdom. The same vibration that can heal can also destroy. The same resonance that can lift stone can shatter cities. The ancients knew this. They encoded their warning in myth. Beware the misuse of the light, the emerald tablets say, for it shall consume the hands that wield it. We have reached that threshold again. If we open the chambers beneath the Sphinx, if we unlock the code without understanding, history could repeat itself. But if we learn to listen, if we remember that energy and consciousness are one, then the Pyramid Code might be the key not to our end, but to our awakening. Perhaps this is why these mysteries call to us now. Humanity is standing between two choices: destruction through ignorance, or evolution through remembrance. The sands are shifting again. The stars above Giza are returning to the same alignment they held 12,000 years ago. Orion and Leo, Osiris and the Sphinx. The cycle is closing. The message is clear. The door is opening. The ancients built these monuments not for the dead, but for the living, for us. They knew a time would come when we would be ready to ask the same question they did. What is consciousness? What is life? What is God? And their answer still stands in stone. It is all vibration. It is all one. So when you look at the Great Pyramid, remember, it is not just an artifact. It is a mirror. It reflects who we are and what we choose to become. Maybe that's why, after all these centuries, it still hums softly in the wind. A heartbeat beneath the desert, waiting for humanity to awaken. The Pyramid Code was never truly lost. It was hidden within us, because we are the code. And the moment we remember that, the moment we understand, the pyramid will no longer be silent. The wind over Giza carries the same rhythm it has for 12,000 years. The stars rise, the lion watches, and beneath the sand, the story waits. This is Unveil Archive, where the past is not finished, the future is not written, and the truth still waits to be unveiled. Maybe the pyramids were never built to honor the dead, but to awaken the living. And maybe the code we've been searching for in stone has always been inside us. If this mystery moved you, subscribe to Unveil Archive and join us as we continue to uncover the hidden truths of our ancient world. The deeper we dig, the closer we come to remembering who we've always been.